All right, welcome back to the ADV-R build series, where we're taking this Moto Morini X-Cape 650 and turning it into more of an adventure rally style bike. Super stoked about today's episode because we're putting a tuner on the bike. If you saw the last episode, you saw that we put a full exhaust system on here from Xan, and that did make a difference in performance. Also made it sound better, it's lighter. It's just such an improvement. But to fully get the benefits of that exhaust system and get the most power and performance out of the motor, you really need to do a tune on the bike. So I really want to thank the guys over at Rapid Bike. They sent us over the EVO system. It's basically a piggyback fuel management system that doesn't replace your stock ECU. You add it to it. What it basically does, and we'll get more into that as we install it, is it connects to your stock injectors to help manage the fuel-air ratios. And what's great about it is it improves the performance right away when you hook it up, but it also keeps improving as you ride, especially the first 200 miles. It's adjusting things as you go, depending on your riding style, depending on the weather, the humidity. And where it's really beneficial is in the lower to mid RPMs, where you really want that extra boost of power. Because on most stock bikes, that area suffers the most because of anti-polluting regulations. Now, this Rapid Bike EVO system supports multiple fuel maps. So in today's episode, I actually have the Moto Morini after sales manager with me today. His name's Cody Spakes. He's here to help us get all the bodywork off this thing, because to get access to the fuel injectors, you got to pull off the fairings, the gas tank, and get in there. So Cody is here to help us out with that. I'll introduce him here in a minute. But before that, let's go over here to the bench and check out this EVO system. And another thing we're installing today is the Rapid Bike Shift Assist, so you can do speed shifting up. It's a really handy system that you normally see on sport bikes. So we're gonna look at hooking that up today. You actually need to have the Rapid Bike EVO system to hook into, so we'll check that out also. So let's go over here to the workbench and check them out. Okay, so this is the complete Rapid Bike EVO system. You can see here's the control unit that you plug into. You've got your harnesses here with all your plugs, and it comes with some extra stickers, looks like some sweatbands here. It does look a little complicated, but it's got full instructions that look really simple. And then over here, we've got the Rapid Bike Shift Assist. This is your control unit right here. This is the shaft that goes on your shifter linkage. And you've got all your hardware right here. Got some installation instructions. All right, guys, we're going to do something different for this episode. Rather than go straight into the install aspects of the video, we're going to go do a ride review and test out the products. That way you can see if you like them, and if it's something you want to go forward with and are curious about how they're installed, then you can watch the rest of the video. But before we get on the bike and take it for a ride, let me show you guys real quick about the Shift Assist. So this is the device down here. It's part of your shifter linkage. This is the actuator. This is the arm it comes with. Just take off the stock arm and replace it with this one with your stock connectors here and back here, just 2 bolts. Then run the wire up here, up along here. I just took this cover off right here. Run it all the way up underneath here, come out by the battery, come across underneath the seat, and here's your device right here. This is the control unit. This is the control unit for the EVO, and just, you'll see that during the install, but just kind of giving you a quick overview. Let's quit talking and ride this thing. All right, guys, so something to note about the Rapid Bike EVO tune system is it's already tuned to some degree when you first initially put it in the bike, but as you ride the first 200 miles, it does a lot of relearning, and but even after that, it's constantly learning. So I've done about 250 miles on this bike already, and so it's had some time to really optimize its performance, and so that's what I'm going to talk to you about now. I just want to let you know this isn't like my first ride with the new tuner. One thing you'll notice is the throttle becomes snappier. It did not do that stock. It's more responsive, and it just revs quicker, which is nice. Now, I got to keep my speeds kind of low when I'm talking about this because I have the ADV-R windscreen. So a lot more wind is hitting me than a standard screen. So that's why I'll notice I'm not ripping around. But I'm gonna say this, I'm really happy with the performance of this EVO unit. The bike pulls so much harder throughout all the gears. It's got way more torque, so if you're just cruising along and you want to open it up, it pulls really nice. Now, I've been doing a lot of freeway on this bike to get to work and back, and that's probably where you're going to spend most of your time when you ride an adventure bike. Speeds of 70, 80, and I'll be in 6th gear on this thing, 80 miles an hour, and I'll just want to get around somebody and I'll just open up the throttle and it just pulls right up to 100 miles an hour, no problem. I remember the first time I did it, I literally said wow in my helmet. So a lot more torque from 1st gear through 6th. You don't have to wring this motor out to fill the power like you used to with a stock motor. With the stock motor, it was really kind of soft power until you got up around 6,000 RPM, and then it was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Well, with the EVO tuner, I feel like I got power everywhere all the time, and it really makes this bike funner to ride. I kid you not. It's like a whole different machine now. The EVO tuner, along with the exhaust, has really made a huge difference. You see how quick this thing takes off? It's like, I didn't even clutch it, I just gassed it and it took off. I guess the best way to explain the increase in power is this bike's a 650. I would have to say, with what's been done to the motor now, it feels more like a 750 or an 800. I mean, the power feels that good. I mean, my butt dyno, you know how the bike feels on your butt, it's really nice and impressive. Alright, so you probably heard there how I was going through the gears. That's the shift assist doing its work, where you don't have to let off the gas at all, you don't use the clutch, you just bang through the gears, and it only works for upshifting, which is fine with me. I wouldn't, if it was a blipper and you could do it on the downshift, I wouldn't even use it anyways. But if you're not familiar with quick shifters, and that's what the power assist is, a quick shifter, they were developed for racing sport bikes where you're really on the gas hard and you're just hammering it down and going through the gears. So it really likes to be used when you're in the higher RPMs. It's smoother at like 5,000, 6,000. That's not to say you can't use it at lower RPMs. It doesn't work unless you're at 3,000 RPMs and up. That is the stock setting, which you can actually change, and I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, the quick shifter is nice. It's kind of weird having it on an adventure bike, but it's very cool to have it. And you know, you're getting on the freeway and you're just, you know, kind of hard on the throttle, and you just banging through gears. You don't have to let off the throttle at all. Now, if you use it in lower RPM, it might feel a little, you know, more abrupt, not as smooth. But if you get one and you ride with it, you kind of learn, you know, how it works. And see, I'm just cruising, and you know, 4,000 RPM, 3,500, and it works fine. If I was harder on the gas, it might feel a little more of a, you know, lunge, but you'll figure it out. But it is a nice feature. It makes riding the bike easier. It makes getting on the gas and going through gears easier and funner, and it's really a cool addition. When Rapid Bike asked me, like, hey, you want the shift assist too? I'm like, you got one of those that works on an adventure bike? That's unusual. And it's kind of a universal unit, but I worked with them and we came up with the right length for the shaft to down by the shifter, and so if you order one, it'll be ready to go, bolt right on. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to tell on camera what's going on here when I'm getting on the gas, but it's good. Wow. A whole nother machine, I'm telling you, man. So I think I've told you just about everything there is to tell you about the power. I'll reiterate, great pulling torque through every gear, even at lower RPM. We're normally around 3,000 to 6,000, and that's where you get a lot of benefit from this tuner. All that added torque, it just, even if you're lugging along and just open up the throttle, the bike pulls way better. And like I said, the throttle response is fantastic. Now, last thing I want to talk about is part of the service you get if you buy the EVO. Rapid Bike has a software program that you download onto your PC. It's only PC friendly, you can't put it on a Mac. And what happens is, it's super simple. You just plug your PC into the EVO. It's got a connecting cable, and you just boot it up, and you can see everything going on inside of your EVO, your EVO. You can make adjustments. You can make sure everything's functioning properly. And another thing Rapid Bike highly recommends is that you connect with them. They actually connect to your PC using a program, and they can get on there and look at your adjustments and your parameters and all that, and they can actually make changes for you on the fly. It's like a friggin' sport bike, man. Look at it lunge, see that? It just, you can see the front end going up and down. That's how much pull this thing has now. Now, you guys are going to want to come back for the next episode, because we're going to go up 2 teeth on the back sprocket, and that should give us even more torque throughout the power band. And we'll also see how that affects the RPM at freeway speeds. Now, I did that on my Africa Twin, and I loved it, and it didn't even change that much on the freeway. So we'll be doing that in the next episode, sponsored by Superlight Sprockets. So let's do a speed run, see how long it takes to go from first gear at 20 miles an hour up to 70 miles an hour. And then I'm just gonna gun it. All right, first gear, 20, go. Now you guys can take that speed run and compare it to what you're getting with your stock engine. That might give you a good gauge of how much power you have with this thing. But those numbers don't always tell the whole story. And you can think, wow, that's, you know, my bike did that almost as quick. But I can tell you that the way this bike feels when you ride it, it's such a big improvement. All right, everybody, welcome Cody to the Moto Pilot Garage. He works for Moto Morini, the US-based headquarters in Irvine, California, which means Cody knows just about everything about these bikes. He's going to be turning the wrenches, and I'm going to be working the camera. So what we got to do is we got to get all this bodywork off, get the gas tank off. It's not really a gas tank, is it?
Well, yeah, the tank under the actual body panels is going to come off. The seat's going to come off. Pretty much we're going to piggyback that entire Rapid Bike system that you have into the bike.
So basically we need to get access to the fuel injectors, which are underneath the airbox. So let's dig into it.
All right, guys, so we're gonna get started on the body part removal or body panel removal. First, looks like Scott got the windscreen off and everything. So that's usually just these 4 bolts where the bracket is. We're gonna pull off this cover right now, which is just a T20. Today we're actually using this sweet little Icon tool set from Harbor Freight. Comes with everything you need. I highly recommend this for any motorcycle toolkit. Throw this in your bike, keep it with you. It's brand new. Whoa,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
got it. So if you guys don't know, Scott actually went down on the way home one day, and the bike actually suffered some pretty good damage. It looks like the turn signal was broken. He hit the body panel. I didn't bring it with me, but it looks like we're gonna have to put a headlight on it. Honestly, I'm just very thankful Scott's here with us. This looks like it could have been way worse, but he walked away with he was riding home, splitting lanes here in California. It's what we do. It's how we commute. And I guess there was a truck that didn't see him as he was coming through. 2 trucks, so yeah, 2 big trucks. And as he was coming in, he also had his luggage on. At the time, he had some SW luggage, SW Motec luggage back here on, and I guess he clipped, went a little wonky. Things got unsettled and he went down. Luckily, he's okay. He had no injuries, anything like that. But the bike suffered some good scratches, things like that. So yeah, we're gonna make sure we replace all that for him today and get it all taken care of. All right, head cover is now off. We're gonna unplug the actual turn signals. It's this green and orange wire, and then this green and blue wire. All right, guys, so now we're actually going to move on to the big body panel removals. It's going to be a 10 mil, a T20, and then your standard 5 mil over here for the body, just standard 5 mil bolts. And I'm going to be, there's my tools, so let's get at it.
You didn't explain that one in there.
No, I didn't.
So there's a T what?
There's another T20 right in here. It's kind of hard to see and get to. Yeah, right there.
So what size?
This is a 10 mil.
10 millimeter.
10 mil. And then there's a couple more Torx up top on the dash. The little T20s that we got to grab out. All right, now we got the the T20s up here in the actual dash right here. All right, guys, this is the final T20 in the, what I call the quarter panel fairing, the fairing here, this whole big piece. So we'll take that guy out real quick. Now it's time to take off that whole fairing. So I'm gonna pop that loose. Takes a little bit of finesse to get it right, but there you go.
Wow.
That's it. All right, moving on to the right side, same exact steps. Take all the bolts out, pop the thing off. Let's get going. Final little step with the body panels. There's all these little backing plates. These guys, you just got to make sure to take those out and reuse them.
Well, only if you're changing the panels.
Only if you're changing the panels. If you're not changing the panels or anything, you don't need to worry about it. I do bring that up also because Moto Morini, we do sell all the colors of the body panel. So if you wanted a black bike on Monday and you wanted a red bike on Friday, you could totally do that. It's about 300 bucks. Seat's coming off so we can get to the battery, unplug the battery, and get to the other components.
Now explain that that's the one-piece seat.
This is also our new ADV-R one-piece seat. It's actually got an inch taller in foam. I personally ride this on my X-Cape. I love this seat. We are going to unplug the negative terminal now because we're going to be wiring into the bike. So make sure you guys do that.
On the battery.
Yeah, on the battery. All right, we're moving on to the tank covers and side panels. So there's some more T20s that we got to deal with, some 5 mils, a 10 mil, and then that whole thing should come off. Oh, there's one little 5 mil up here too.
What size is that?
5 mil. 5 mil Allen. That's pretty much the main bolt on this bike, honestly, for all your day-to-day activities. 5 mil. Yeah, 5 mil. 5 mils on the back side of those covered panels. All right, now we're gonna actually get the entire tank cover piece off. Usually, if you do this right, you can get it done in one shot. As one piece too. Just like that. Since we're actually here, I'm just gonna drop some technical knowledge on you guys. Under the actual gas tank is where your air box is. That's all the way down here. So to do your air box maintenance, such as an air filter replacement, cleaning and stuff like that, you're gonna have to learn how to do these things. So I'll show you guys a little bit more, but right under here is the air box, just these 2 bolts right here, and the tank's gonna come off. There are some things connected to the gas tank. So first disconnect the level sensor. Then back here, under here, you can lift up and you will see the fuel line. And there's also the fuel line connector. We'll get to that in a minute. There's a vent line right up under the front of the tank right here that you gotta get to. So there's 2 vent lines that you gotta get to under the front of the gas tank. A little snug. Yeah, it's just got All right, I'm going to disconnect the fuel line from the fuel filter on the right side of the bike. Easiest way to get to it is to reach in through here, and it's on the actual fuel filter. Grab right here. We're going to unlock it and then pop it. And you're going to spill a little fuel that way.
Okay, she's off, huh?
Yeah, that's it. It's got a little lock on it, and then there's these 2 little push tabs. You just pinch them real hard, and then you can get it off. But that's it. Final connector is the fuel pump connector, which is right up under here. And now that we got that fuel line loose, we can get to it. It's right there, that guy. And now our tank should be nice and free. So as I referenced before, to get to your air box, you got to take that tank off. This is your air box right here. You're going to use a Phillips screwdriver and release the clamps that are holding it to the top of the throttle body. So there is a mist. Almost there. There we go. Now that we got those 2 loose, we can pop the whole thing off. There's the air box. All right, we're gonna disconnect all the connectors that are needed for the Rapid Bike tuner. We're gonna start with the injector connectors and get all those disconnected.
So there's just 2, right?
Yeah. I'll be careful, you may lose the little rubber insert when you do that. Just be sure you throw that guy back in there.
There's 1 there.
1 here.
And 1 there.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna run the wiring for the new Rapid Bike tuner. I wanna try to tuck it as best as I can, try to keep everything clean. We're also coming all the way back here to the ECM, or the ECU, so we gotta make sure the wiring is done properly. All right, installing the Rapid Bike tuner, like I said, they piggyback. So the Rapid Bike tuner is actually done really well. It's got everything labeled. So injector 1, throttle position, injector 2. So we're gonna start by installing the first wire onto the original connector. If I can put it in properly. And then we're gonna take the new throttle position, or the new injector sensor, and we're gonna plug that guy in. That guy's done.
You do that for both cylinders.
Both cylinders, exactly. So here's number 2. Same with on the Moto Morini, everything's labeled so you can match everything up. All right, injector wires are now piggybacked. We're gonna now piggyback the throttle position. So that's this one, you push down on that little clamp. Very simple.
Do it again.
Just like that. Okay. Same idea, we're gonna piggyback everything. Next connector is the crank sensor. It's on the right side of the bike behind cylinder 2 injector. It's this one right here, this wire that comes up and over. It's got a white connector. It's a pull style disconnect, so you lift up on it and it should pop apart. Just like that.
Show me the connector.
This one right here.
Okay.
I don't want to lose the other end. So let's plug that guy in real quick. Same piggyback idea, plug the Rapid Bike connector into the stock one, and then the new Rapid Bike connector into the old connector.
This is the Rapid Bike?
Yep, Rapid Bike.
This is stock.
They did make them different colors, if you can kind of see that. They're a little bit different. These also have little green inserts, so you can actually see what you're doing. There we go.
So what you unplugged is
The crank sensor.
still unplugged. It's
No.
not really a piggyback.
No, it is. It's fully, so it's plugged in completely. So same idea as what we did here, where the original connector unplugs. You take one and one. It's got a piggyback, and then the other one, the new Rapid Bike, goes in the original spot. All right, final step for the front of the bike is going to be to do the O2 sensor piggyback. So that's this little rubber guy and this one. They are zip tied closed, so we're going to have to cut that real quick, and I'll show you guys how to connect those in a second. All right, working on to the O2 sensor piggyback connections. Those again are labeled. We're gonna find a spot. I think there's a good spot right next to the throttle body to fish these guys through. It's a lot easier to do the connectors themselves one at a time than trying to force them all through together. There we go. Yeah, labels again, O2 sensor 1, O2 sensor 2. Same thing on the bike. There's a number right here. There's sensor 2, and sensor 1's back here with its little white guy. Okay, so now we're gonna pull the little boot back. This is kind of a pain to do, and you don't really get all that much room, but once you get it loose, you'll be able to get it up like that. So this guy is a pull style.
Sure. To explain.
Okay, so take your little flathead, there's a little slot right here. You're gonna grab that and give it a little pry, and it should pop right out. Okay, so first one I'm doing is sensor 2. So let's get these guys one more little routing right up around here. There we go. That's number 2. So same thing, we're gonna take this guy. There's only one way it lines up. There you go.
Make sure everything snaps and clicks.
Yeah, snaps and clicks is everything. So same thing with the new Rapid Bike connector. Pop that guy open. Oh, there's little slots. Okay. So I wasn't fully lined up there. There we go.
There's only one way that can go in.
Only
right?
one way.
So plug it in and then close the red locking.
Safety, yeah, clip. Now we're moving on to number 1. We're gonna repeat the same process. And disconnect that.
So once you pull that red clip out, it pretty much just
pops right out. Yeah,
right out.
that's like that's like a full-on safety.
It's not really stubborn. And
No, it's nice and easy. And if you look, it's got little like line up tab, like where everything just locks in. And then you push that halfway in, and then it locks in. Yep, here's the final one. Halfway in, and lock her down. There you go. And you can see here, that's how you know it's locked. Is those little.
So what is this right here?
This is the fuel level sensor that goes to the tank.
Okay.
That one that we unplugged earlier.
Gotcha.
So now all the O2 sensors are piggybacked and connected. It's kind of everything. The one thing I will say is that you want to there's a little boot in here. You can get that connector right back in there. So that's good to go. Once we're all said and done, we'll grab some zip ties and make that all look nice and get it nice and tucked away like that.
And roll.
All right, so now is the final step of the tuner. Here is the Rapid Bike control unit. This is your final connector for the most part, big connector.
Final?
Yeah, big one.
Well, we got some little ones here.
I don't think we're doing anything with those other than this ground cable right here, which is gonna go right there.
All right. So you have this routed underneath the frame. Remember?
Yeah, right under the frame. It's all coming
Back
out.
here by the ECU. Make sure it clicks.
Yeah, gotta hear the click, gotta love the click. We'll deal with mounting this and getting this in a nice location when everything's said and done. All right, so now we're gonna connect the negative ground wires. Now we have a total of 3 to mess with. These 2 coming from here, and then your factory one.
So 2 factory wires and 1 wire.
Yeah,
from the Rapid Bike.
one new Rapid Bike wire. Stock 2. All right, so I'm just spending some time kind of zip tying and cleaning things up. I did want to say that these connectors, these 4 are unused. You have 2 auxiliary ends, you've got a CAN connector, and then your USB connector. So these all have caps on them. I'm just trying to tidy them up and find a spot to stick them. While I was looking at things and tucking things, I was trying to figure out a spot to put this Rapid Bike control unit and keep it secured. So I pulled off the seat bracket there, and Scott and his brilliant visual mind found that little spot, and that was under. We took the tool bag out, so we're gonna throw that in the tank bag, but that's where that's gonna live now. And honestly, it doesn't even look like we really need to secure it that much. The thing ain't going nowhere. And then we also stuck a little microfiber towel under it just to keep it nice and safe.
Keep it from vibrating.
Yeah. We're moving on to putting this thing back together. I've got the air box ready to go. These are the bottom vent lines for the gas tank, so I've tucked those up and out of the way. We also have this little breather tube for the crankcase breather right down here. If you guys can see that one right there. That's gonna go on. It kind of lines up itself, but you may have to get in there and get your hand in there and get it manipulated. And then you these, I put a little bit of WD-40 on my finger and just went around this just to make them slide on. WD-40 is okay, it's petroleum based. So that's going right there. All right. So way to do this is we're gonna kind of get this guy lined up first into our little hole. We're gonna push this guy down and in. So now it's in there. And then we're gonna line up those tubes that had the clamps on them to the actual throttle housing. Meanwhile, looking at this, and then pop it on. And once you're on, it should just stay on. And we're good, we're good, we're good.
What are you doing now?
I'm gonna tighten up the clamps for the throttle body to airbox connection. I always put a little bit of pressure on the top while I'm doing this to make sure it doesn't lift off, because if you're off of it too far and you start tightening, it'll pinch and push the thing off even further.
And there's 2 of those.
2 of them, yes. All right, so I'm gonna put the tank back on. First and foremost, you just kind of get it up there and get everything connected. Yeah, the gas tank. And then we'll line everything else up and get it all connected. So first one is the small evap line that's going to go to the small connector.
Sure, that's right.
Yeah. One's an evap vent line and the other one is your fuel vent line for overflow.
So make sure you know
which. And they're 2 different sizes. One's smaller, one's bigger, so you can't really mess it up. So and then there's these little C's in there. If you look here, this right here.
Mounting.
This is going to go right around this. So these go there.
Okay. So just line up,
push forward. Now you're going to reconnect your fuel pump connector, which is this one right here. Goes on, snap, always the snap. And then the fuel line, this little U pipe. Point it down. You're going to have to manipulate it around the fuel filter and then get it on. Same thing, you'll hear the snap, and then lock the connector. Fuel tank's on, then the last piece.
That's the fuel pump line. Yep,
that's fuel pump, and then the fuel level sensor is right here. Same thing, snap it, and that's on. That all just sits under the tank. Tank's back on, we just gotta throw 2 more bolts in, and that'll be all finished up there. And we might as well start it right now.
Anyways, that is a wrap for this episode. I want to thank Rapid Bike again for donating the EVO and the Shift Assist. They are fantastic additions, and I think going to a bigger sprocket in the back is really going to make this thing super savvy, not only on-road but off-road especially, when you really need that torque more than on the street. All right, catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for hanging out.